For the first 15 months of the pandemic here in the state of Florida, only 6 children died. Since July 30th of this year, from July 30th through the first week of September, 17 children have died from COVID-19 here in the state of Florida. And of course, across the country, child cases of COVID-19 are going through the roof. And that's not a coincidence, folks. That coincides with schools restarting across the country. One of the reasons Florida's a little ahead right now in the number of kids dying from COVID is because our schools start back earlier than other schools. We're actually in week 5 down here in Florida, as some folks are still posting first day pictures of their kids on Facebook. That's why our numbers are higher. But don't worry, those other states are unfortunately going to start catching up with us. Because every one of these child cases, every one of these child deaths at this point was largely preventable. If we had put safeguards in place, if we had left distance learning in place, the chances of most of these kids still being alive are insanely high. And sure, I know that the anti-maskers are going to point to the fact that a lot of the kids here in Florida that have died, the 17 since July 30th, a lot of them had underlying conditions. Not all of them, by the way, had underlying conditions, but most of them did. Sure. But how would you feel if that was your kid who had severe asthma and wasn't able to fight off COVID because their lungs were already weakened? Or what if it was your kid that had a compromised immune system that made them more susceptible to COVID-19? Okay, we're not talking about kids that have been smoking for 40 years and their lungs couldn't handle it. We're talking about children who were born with these compromised immune systems or born with these underlying conditions that helped them die from COVID, I guess we could say. But had COVID not come along, these children would not be dead today. And that's the big takeaway here. But here in Florida, Ron DeSantis just scored a victory, actually, in a district court up here where we are, saying that his mask mandate can stay in place. Or ban on mask mandate, I should say. So we're sending kids to school, allowing, as Ron DeSantis says, the parents to make the best decisions about what's good for their children. Cool. But if your kid's not wearing a mask and another kid is, that is still highly transmissible versus both children wearing a mask, and that significantly reduces the chances of spreading the virus from one child to another or from a teacher to a child. It doesn't work if only a couple kids are doing it. So no, you're not just making choices about the health of your child, you're making choices about the health of my children. You're making choices about everybody else's children when you send your kids to school without a mask. This isn't about your freedom of choice or your, constitutional protections. This is about you making health choices based on misinformation for everybody else's kids who are going to suffer because of it. These child cases were preventable. These child deaths were preventable. And here we are sending all the kids back to school into these giant petri dishes. And based on the data we've seen so far, we unfortunately know how this story is going to end. If you can't get enough Ring of Fire, we encourage everyone to subscribe to our channel for fresh video content 7 days a week. And for even more from me, you can follow me on all social media outlets, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram @FairandBalanced.